Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's very dark out there and very bright up here. I'm so glad that the first two Scots did such a good job, so you'll be a little lenient on me. I'm going to talk to you tonight about the gift. Suicide is the coward's way out. I think that life is a precious gift from God, and it's not up to us to choose when we give that gift back. That's one of the beliefs that I was brought up with in a church-going family in central Scotland. And it's one of the many that my family taught me. I was very lucky to grow up in a farm in Scotland. My parents were both shepherds, so it was as if they both worked from home. And I've got three brothers, and we all worked on the farm in the holidays, at the weekends. We were always helping mum or helping dad. We had our chores and we had our things to do, and we all worked together. And my dad taught me so many lessons. My dad had the best memory of anyone I have ever met. Probably other shepherds are the same. He could tell you if it rained on April the 7th, 2008. He could tell you which sheep had had how many lambs. Had it kept those lambs, or had it wandered off? Could it have two the following year, or could we only trust it with one? And he knew all of those things because he was passionate. He was passionate about his job. He loved his job, and it meant the world to him. And he taught me, never do anything unless you really feel it. Unless you're passionate about it, don't do it. My dad also had a wicked sense of humour. He loved playing tricks on people, and he would look for opportunities all the time if he could play tricks on people. And he would read the newspaper from cover to cover, and like most Scots, he would start at the back because the sports are at the back. So he would start at the back and work his way through, and he would look for articles within the newspaper that he could delight us with when we would come home from school. And even after I left home, he would cut snippets out of the newspaper and get my mum to send them, no matter where I was in the world, because he wanted to share something that he had found, that something was really important, had tickled him, and he wanted to share it. So he taught me to be passionate, and he taught me to laugh. He taught me to look for the funny side of life. Always look for the funny thing in a difficult situation. He also, on every farm that we stayed on, he also had a massive vegetable plot. And he worked in that vegetable plot all of the time. And in our short Scottish summers, he would strip his shirt off and be hoeing away in the garden. And I'd be out there helping him, and we'd sit on the back step shelling peas into a little bucket, and we'd take them in to mum to cook. So he also taught me to be self-sufficient, to be healthy, to look after myself, to grow my own food. So he taught me so many lessons. He was the most amazing man. Now, we thought that his hearing was going, or we actually thought that he wasn't listening to us when dementia started to have its effect on Dad. He used to say, "Oh, you didn't tell me that. You didn't tell me," or, "Oh, I couldn't have been listening when you said that." And we're like, "Oh, well, you just go and get your hearing tested." He said, "Nothing wrong with my hearing, nothing wrong with that." But when he couldn't remember where his 3 children were born, he owned up to the fact that he was scared, that he didn't know what was happening to his own mind. And when he used to be in the living room in his chair, the newspaper, you'd sit by it because he didn't read the newspaper anymore, because he couldn't remember what was in the newspaper anyway. He couldn't even remember whether he had read it that day or not. He would go out of the living room and down the hallway to the toilet, and then you would hear him trying every door in the hallway because he couldn't remember how to get back into the living room again. He would say to Mum, "When are we going home? When are we leaving this place? I want to go home." And Mum would say, You are home. This is our home. We've lived here for 18 years. And he would get so angry with her for lying because he didn't live there. In his mind, he was about 25. Dementia had taken him back. And who was this person to tell him this wasn't where he lived? Mum used to walk the hour to get the newspaper and come back. She stopped doing that because she didn't want to leave him for an hour, because he wouldn't know where she had gone. And he would plead with her and say, just take me home. I want to go home. And she'd say, we are home. He'd say, right, I'm going. And then he wouldn't go any further. And Mum would say, well, just go. If you want to go home, just go. And he'd say, I can't go without you. My dad worked with different medications, and they tried to work with dementia, but we all know that dementia will take its toll, and it will take us on a journey that we don't want to go on. But I do remember that on the 1st of January 2014, I spoke to Dad via Skype to wish them a Happy New Year. And he stood in front of me, he was standing in front of the fire, and he said, Lass, I've heard a new joke. And I thought, oh God, he's not going to remember the punchline. And I wish I could remember what that joke was, but I can't. But he did. He remembered that joke from start to finish. And we laughed that New Year's Day. And I thought, oh my God, he's getting better. He's coming back. My dad is coming back. But later that day, in the early hours of the morning, in the clarity that my dad had been given, he decided to give his gift back to God. He said, I don't want this gift anymore. I don't want this future for me. I don't want this future for my family. Do I think my dad is a coward? Do I think my dad is weak? I think my dad is the strongest, most courageous, most passionate, fun-loving man that will ever live.